take a moment to introduce our advisor. This is Miss Heather Savage. She's been with us. She's taking kids to state and nationals this year. They went to San Antonio. And we also have Mr. Troy Smith, but he could not be here tonight. So at this time, I'm going to let y'all take it over.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me introduce, this is our president, Brooke Osborne. She's been with FBLA since freshman year. So, and then this is McKinley. She's our 10th grade representative. And this is Julie. She's our reporter.
First of all, we would like to thank you all for allowing us to go to FBLA Nationals in San Antonio. We had a great time. And we would like to briefly discuss our goals as a chapter this year. So we're trying to do more public outreach, and we're trying to grow our club and our social media. We leave for leadership camp on Thursday. We're very excited about that. And we would like to invite you all to our bingo night on October 22nd. It is the same day as parent-teacher conference, and there will also be
it's a spaghetti.
It's a spaghetti dinner
at 6:30. Thank you.
Was that the October 22?
Yep.
Yep. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank y'all.
We appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I defer the chair to Dr. Heath on the election of officers per policy 1.200.
All right, thank you. It's seems like every September I get to be the chair for a moment. So at this time, I would take any nominations from the board for the chairman for the chairperson for the coming school year.
I nominate Tommy Stevens.
Okay, a nomination for Mr. Stevenson.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? If I hear no other nominations, can I hear a motion to accept by acclamation?
Make a motion that we accept the nomination by acclamation. Tommy as chair of the board.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor say yay.
Yay.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you.
I'll turn it back over to you.
At this time, we would consider a motion of officer of vice chair. Do I entertain a motion at this time?
I nominate Mr. Posey.
Nomination. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Do I have any other nominations? I move that motion cease by acclamation. All in favor say aye. Oh, I'm second. I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor say aye. Motion carries. We're set and ready to go again. We appreciate the opportunity and thank you for the vote of confidence in us to go forward this year. The second item on the agenda is consider approval of August 5th, 2019 board minutes of the monthly board meeting and August 26, 2019 board minutes of the special call board meeting. Do I have a motion?
Move we approve both sets of minutes.
I got Mr. Posey, second Mr. Bradley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries. Third item is consider approval of agenda per 1.43. Dr. Heath.
I don't have any additions.
Does anybody else have anything to add? Dr. Heath, you mentioned the school nutrition report at the end.
I'm going to add that at the end,
Okay.
not in a
Right.
voting thing. But,
Gotcha. Do I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept the minutes. as
Collins,
I'll second.
Mr. Tucker, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. At this time, we have recognitions by Dr. Heath.
All right. Each month we recognize our support staff of the month, our teacher of the month, and our retired educator of the month. This month, our support staff of the month is from Unity, and Ms. Pierce is here to make that presentation.
Today, we would like to recognize Mr. Bob Rochelle. He is our lead custodian at Unity School. Mr. Bob is with me tonight. He has been with us almost 4 years, and he's won the hearts of our faculty and staff. We count on him to not only do his job in a very professional manner, but to do it with a smile and a kind word. He sets high and demanding expectations for himself, but also those around him. Mr. Bob is, and I say Mr. Bob, his name is Robert, but we call him Mr. Bob at school. He's originally from Newark, New Jersey, where he entered the Air Force in 1981. He spent 22 years in the Air Force working in vehicle management. His Air Force career took him to exciting places, including Hawaii, Greenland, and Okinawa, Japan. He retired from the Air Force in 2002 and started a new career working for the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. That is a regional planning and development agency located in Macon, Georgia. While there, he worked in the area of public administration and community planning, then retired again in 2015. He took an early retirement to come to Tennessee to be near family. He and his wife Sharon have been married for 36 years, and she has family she's from Lewisburg originally and has family in the area. Mr. Bob is an avid reader, and he and his wife Sharon both enjoy to continue traveling together. And tonight, I'm pleased to recognize Mr. Robert Rochelle as our staff member of the month. Congratulations, Mr. Bob. You don't have to say anything, but thank you.
Congratulations. And are we going to get pictures? Okay. All right, next is our presentation of our teacher of the month, and representing the administration from South Lincoln is Ms. Sydney Ogle. Sydney?
All right, y'all, so our teacher of the month is Miss Amy Palladino, and I don't think there's enough time here tonight to say everything that I would want to say about her, but so I took a few notes just to keep me on track. She's like a living legend at South Lincoln. She's been teaching for 24 years, and she's currently teaching 7th grade math for us. Amy, her math scores rank #1 in the district pretty much every year. She's pretty consistent with that. She consistently scores 70 to 80% on track mastery with her math students. And that's just unheard of. And so you guys may be wondering, just like all the other teachers in the county are wondering, how does she do it? So I thought I would ask some of her students how she does it. So here's what they said about her. She's funny. She makes math stick in your brain. She's happy to be at school. She teaches on all different levels. She's energetic. She makes sure you know it before moving on. She loves being with you. She makes you feel comfortable and safe. She sings songs. She lets you tell her jokes. She's a person that you can tell anything, and you can tell that she cares about you. So those are just some comments that came from her students, her 7th and 8th grade students. And if you look back at all those comments, a few of them are about instruction, but most of them are about the way she makes her students feel. And so Miss Amy, she's a master mathematics teacher, but most importantly, she's a master relationship builder. And I think that's why her scores are consistently so high. Her students love her. They want to please her. And I'm so very proud to present this Teacher of the Month award to Miss Amy Palladino.
Now, we'll be glad to let you speak, too.
And now Mr. Posey will present our retired educator of the month.
If I can walk up here. Tonight, our retired educator of the month is Miss Marie Swearingen. Ms. Swearingen worked as an educator for over 30 years. She spent the last half at Lincoln County High School, where she started in the fall of 1998, which was a really good year. That's when I started there, too. For almost 2 decades, she worked at LCHS in special education, participating in every aspect from the CDC classroom to overseeing the special education department. With a no-nonsense attitude and a love for children, Ms. Swearingen spent her time at LCHS impacting students in a positive way. Whether she was helping to supply the food bank, finding clothes for students in need, or giving students a safe place during a difficult time, Ms. Swearingen truly embodied teaching the whole child before the term was coined. She even encouraged me when I announced my run for school board, saying, like all governing bodies, infusions of young, fresh, new ideas are needing to keep us moving in the right direction. I look forward to hearing from you, hearing what you bring to the table. Good luck with your campaign. That meant a whole lot to me. Words of encouragement like she shared with me have always been freely given to those around her. When she decided to retire in 2017, she asked to spend her last year in the classroom, teaching students where her heart truly resided. Even now, she's still providing a positive influence on those in the community, and when the time is right, Ms. Swearingen can be found selling strawberries in the Little Red Wagon in town for denizens. Thank you, Ms. Swearingen, for your years of dedication to the students of Lincoln County. And on behalf of the Lincoln County Board of Education, it's my honor to present you as the Lincoln County Schools Retired Educator of the Month.
I love every minute of all 39 years.
Thank y'all. Thank all of y'all for your service and what you do for our students each and every day. At this time, our student board representative, Mr. Sahil Patel and Mr. Andrew Dixon, will give us an update or anything to share with us.
Sure, I'll go ahead. With the end of August, everything at the high school has set into motion. Students and teachers are becoming more and more acclimated with the first semester, especially the freshmen. It's a huge jump from middle school to the high school, especially with NGA not here anymore. Students and teachers alike are getting used to their classes and what to expect for them. Clubs and other organizations have already started recruiting members, and some have already started holding meetings. Additionally, the College and Career Fair, which was held last week, followed by a financial aid meeting, has helped the seniors, especially those who are applying or at least starting to think about applying to colleges. And now as September starts, students, teachers, and pretty much everyone else is going in full force and ready to tackle the rest of this school year.
Anything to add?
We're ready for Talcott football and homecoming.
All right. Thank y'all. We appreciate it. Next item, we'll recess for about 2 minutes for Mr. Posey to come back in.
Oh, okay.
Have they announced the dress days for homecoming yet?
Oh, well, it's a movie week, and so with our homecoming theme is Falcon Films. And so we're gonna,
So it's a movie week.
I'm pretty sure.
Each
So I
day.
think one day we're trying to do like Marvel Monday, and like we were trying to do like Disney Day.
Those are launching chairs.
Yep.
They're for astronaut training.
Yeah, I thought I was going to tip over.
It's those chairs if you're going to fall asleep.
Yeah, here you want Miss Posey's chair?
I think we should swap chairs and see how long it takes to notice.
That and
Buddy.
All right, we'll resume the meeting, and item 7 is appointment of policy committee chairman and members. This is the only committee really that's, Dr. Heath told me that is truly pretty much needed and would be considered almost standing.
Yeah.
As far as the committee goes, is the makeup that, does anybody want to rotate off of the policy committee meeting? Are you we're serving as chair?
I am.
Well, we'll, if that be, we'll appoint policy committee chair and members as they were this last year. Do I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion, we accept.
I think, does it require a motion and a second on appointment of committee or not?
You appoint as chairman.
Okay, that's, all right, let me just back up.
What the board can do is they can vote not to have a committee.
Gotcha. All right, I thought I was in error when I started down that path, and I was asking for guidance. The next item is, speaking of the policy committee, annual review of policies, section 1, and all other policies as necessary. Mr. Posey.
All right, so tonight we have several policies for second and final reading. Unless there's someone wants to pull one out, I would suggest that we just do them all in one motion. The first is policy 1.406 minutes. Policy 1.804 alcohol and drug use in the workplace. Policies 1.901, 1.903, 1.905, 1.906, charter laws update. Policy 2.403, surplus property sales. Policy 2.601, fundraising activities. Policy 3.201, emergency preparedness plan. Policy 4.605, graduation requirements. The revisions, there are several policies, revisions for TCA cleanup. Policy 5.200, policy 5.201, follows policy 5.305, and then policy 5.605, staff gifts and solicitations. The last one would be policy 6.308, bus safety and conduct. We've read the revisions, and they're all recommended for second and final reading.
That's a recommendation from the policy committee. Is any discussion? Does anybody want to pull anything, or all in favor of accepting? Aye. Opposed likewise? Motion carried. Next one, it was discussed during the work session, is looking at appointment of a committee to review pay scale, stipends, bonuses, supplements, and for the coming structure of what we're trying to get a grasp on all of our departments and trying to make sure they're fair, equitable, and that we're actually making sure we're ahead of the pace on gaining and retaining good employees across the board, whether it be in the classroom, maintenance, bus driver, whatever it should be. And I'm looking at, and if you desire not to serve, just let me know and we'll go to some different, but I would like to see if Ms. Susan Cooley would chair this committee with Mr. Jared Bradley, Mr. Johnny Collins, and Mr. Sammy Tucker. If y'all would.
Mr. Stephen, just as I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe I know we talked about it in our work session or whatever, but probably the board would need to approve this committee and its goal. Each
because
committee,
we're establishing a new.
You're establishing a new
okay.
committee, and then you would appoint. I think that's the way. That's the way it would work. But
that's fine. Do I have a motion to accept this committee as proposed?
So moved.
Mr. Tucker moves. Mr. Bradley second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries to establish this committee. And Ms. Cooley, you can drive that as to when what. We'll get with Ms. Karen on notification of meetings. Next one is appointment of committee on a new committee to review board self-evaluation and for the board itself. And On that, I'd propose Ms. Haynes, if she would chair, Ms. Buchanan, and Mr. Posey, if you would serve. And I only chose 3 on this one. If you would, somebody else would like to be on it, be glad to. But on the structure of it, on what we were looking at, I thought maybe 3 would be as efficient. Does anybody else like to serve on it?
Ms. Haynes.
So I have a motion to establish what I propose.
Move to approve.
Mr. Posey, Mr. Bradley, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved for this committee. Item 11, Dr. Heath, is consider approval of administrators and counselors to serve on the Student Disciplinary Hearing Authority Committee.
If you recall, last year we added counselors to this committee. This has to be approved annually by the board, and these are the administrators and counselors that hear the cases that are brought to the DHA by the principals.
Everybody's had a chance to review them on the list. Do I have a motion to accept this members as committee?
So moved.
Mr. Tucker, Mr. Bradley, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries. The next item is a discussion consideration of the lease agreement with TCAT for using a portion of the FCA building. Dr. Heath?
Yes. As you know, as we move forward with our vision for Lincoln Central Academy, a big part of that vision is that the TCAT centers, Shelbyville and Pulaski, both would be using a portion of the building for instruction for our children and our community members. So in working with Laura, who's here tonight, this is the standard lease that they use as far as the information in it. I have checked with our risk management insurance-wise, and they said as long as the TCAT centers provide us a certificate of insurance, which I know they have, then we're good to go. I just do want to point out on page 2 of the lease, the finances in there are basically what the TCAT centers are paying at other locations, I do believe. Laura, or it's a standard, the dollar amount in there. The first year is less than year 2 through 5 because the first year they'll only be using a smaller portion of the building. I would recommend approval of this so we can move forward with that project because I think they're getting ready to offer some classes. And if she's here tonight, if you need to ask anything about her from the TCAT Center.
How soon are you planning on offering them? If we approve this tonight or the next year's?
January, we'll start with new enrollment classes for the high school, and then by as early as next summer, we can start with adult programs. Now, it's the steps we have to go through with our accrediting agency before we can start with adult classes. But dual enrollment for high school can start as early as January.
Anybody else got any other questions? Motion to approve.
Move to approve the lease.
Mr. Posey. I'm going to have to flip a coin over there. Ms. Haynes, this last one went to you, Mr. Bradley. Ms. Haynes, second. All in favor? Roll call on this, please, ma'am. It is a lease agreement.
Mr. Tucker?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Ms. Cooley? Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan? Mrs. Haynes? Mr. Bradley? Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
8-0.
Motion carries 8-0. And we appreciate the partner and an opportunity to go forward.
We do as well.
We appreciate it.
Looking forward to some big things happening.
I think of where we're at and the people we got in place, that's what we're expecting.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Next item, 13, Dr. Heath, is consider approval of the calendar for school year 2020-2021.
Yeah, it's been several months since this calendar committee has met. We finished our work back in the spring, but I didn't want to bring it to you before school started. I didn't want our community members getting confused on which calendar they were looking at when they looked at school calendars. So this is the calendar for the 2021 school year that has come out of committee. A couple of notes on this. The in-service days in the fall are on Mondays, and the 2 in-service days in the spring are on Fridays. We tried to back them up with holidays when appropriate. There are, if you recall, back over the summer, you actually approved us to have another in-service day in May this year if we don't use all our weather days. That's already built into this calendar, so you won't have to come back and do a special approval for that in the future. So that's already in here. And in fact, when this committee was developing this calendar, that discussion came out, and that's what prompted me to come to you in the summer for this school year. So, this has all the things in it that all the calendars in the past have had, including fall break, Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, spring break. Those are the things that, of course, those breaks are very important to our community members. So they're there, and I would ask you consider approval.
Any questions on the dates or anything?
And by the way, as far as director of schools, I'm okay if you wanted to approve this like on first reading, and then you take a look at it for a month and come back next month, because I realize you haven't had it that long. So it's whatever you'd like to do on this, but it has gone through the committee. I wouldn't take it back to the teachers unless you as a board voted for me to go back and reconsider something.
What's the pleasure? Vote or delay?
Let's delay it till next month.
I have a motion to make this the first reading of the proposed calendar. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Post, second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion opposed likewise. Motion carries. We'll pick it up next board meeting. The next item is consider approval of the revisions of director's evaluations. As we go back time, it's been a while since we even looked at the work session, what we went on, but we made the 3 changes at the end of the director's evaluation, and one of them was director's most significant accomplishments or strengths. Top 3 items the director should do to move the district forward, and list any key challenges in year ahead for district. And then you have a summary of any comments else that you would want to do, and that's what everybody that I got back the feedback basically they wanted to look at. Do I have a motion to accept? Ms. Bradley, Ms. Haynes, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. If Ms. Karen will make a revision date on the front, then that's what we'll use going forward then.
Good.
And I know y'all gonna get tired of me talking about timber, but after consulting with the state forestry, there's a consensus maybe that we look at clear cutting, but then talking about again today that maybe we don't clear cut, but let's just to make it so we got a path to go forward with not having any hindrances if the dollars look right of what we would call it. Could I entertain a motion to rescind the previous motion of regarding the timber being cut with an 18-inch limit?
So move.
Mr. Tucker's making that motion. Mr. Collins second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Now back to timber the next go around. Could I, well, in those discussions, now they're picking, what they're looking at is picking, there's 4, the state forester sent an email with a list of certain people that could give us help in the sale administration, or in other words, writing the specs and plans of making sure everything goes right with the timber cutting and nothing is disturbed that shouldn't be disturbed. But to give them the leeway, I think we would entertain a motion to proceed with the timber being cut at the Blanche site per the recommendations of the state forestry consultant and the company that is chosen to determine the specs for the cutting of the timber. Dr. Heath,
I'm thinking through that for a minute.
I'm trying to make whatever they adopt to come back to us, that we can live with that. But if we put an 18-inch and he comes back and says we're going to cut down, we'd have to come back with a month to clean it up. And I'd rather us to be, if we're going to get this done, try to give them the motion that they can go forward with.
I know very little about cutting timber. I'm just going to preface my statement. But I just want to make sure that whoever the forester or the consultant is, are they going to make a recommendation based on a healthy forest or on what we need as a school as far as the setting for a school? And are those two things the same things? I don't know.
I don't think you would be because of the location where it's at. And
Okay.
plus, you're going to vision part of where they're going to move dirt. It's going to get part of that anyhow.
Okay.
And when you take that and and it would be no different if we leave it and a storm comes through and blows it all and it looks off. I mean, it is what it's going to be, and it's at a mature stage that if we do nothing, it's just going to rot, and we're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying do nothing. I was just
but
make
I
sure
mean,
we're
but-
at the same.
but I think
and
the
don't
deal of
know.
it is make sure they don't interfere with the stream, and that's all covered in all those specs, and they're all going to apply those standards and where the timber's logged out at and what can be cut and that. So, could I entertain that motion?
So moved.
Mr. Tucker, Mr. Collins, second. Roll call me on that, please, ma'am, because there will be money involved eventually.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Ms. Cooley?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mrs. Haynes?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley? Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Tucker?
Aye.
8-0.
8-0, motion carried, and I appreciate it. Sorry for the confusion, but I was trying to clean it up before we had to come back and delay it if they could go forward. Next item is Mr. Bradford. Because they do have the budget committee meeting and us being able to go there afterwards, he was unable to make the meeting, but the June final reports are not yet not yet completed. Item 2, there is budget amendments, and those are 141 general purpose and 143, and correct me if I'm wrong from looking at them, these are moving money and allocations from within, and there's no new money.
That's correct.
And that, if it's all right, I'd entertain a motion unless somebody wants to pull one of the two for 141 and 143 being the same approval. Do I have a motion to accept them?
Move to accept the financial report.
Yes. Or the amendments, no, I'm sorry,
The
the
amendments.
amendments.
I
Mr.
make
Posey. Mr. Posey makes a motion, Mr. Bradley second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carries 8-0. The next item on his report is he is making a proposal for David Kidd and his accounting firm to continue to do the audit for the school system. The fee has been $13,200 for the last 4 years, and it would increase to $14,500. And Mr. Bradford said that this would be his recommendation as David Kidd. I have a motion. Ms. Haynes makes a motion. Mr. Tucker second. Roll call me, please, ma'am.
Ms. Cooley?
Aye.
Mr. Collins?
Aye.
Ms. Buchanan?
Aye.
Mrs. Haynes?
Aye.
Mr. Bradley? Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Tucker?
Aye.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
8-0.
8-0, motion carries, and we appreciate that. And on the points of information, Ms. Karen remind us that tomorrow is 1 o'clock at LCHS on the groundbreaking. Everybody, if they could wear their Lincoln County Board of Education shirts, and the same for Saturday morning at 9 a.m. at Blanche. And for those that's going to be able to make the fall district meeting, we would leave at 3:45 from central office.
We're gonna wear the shirts that night too.
Well,
Gotta wash them a few times during the week.
It's gonna be hot at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just let us know. I mean, say yes or no.
Now you brought it up. Don't
Back
don't
up
back that
now.
now. Did you say Miss Debbie would do the laundry for
I
us?
know
and
that's
press
what
them
I'm
for us?
thinking about.
Yeah, now, huh?
We all go to the same vehicle.
Well, yeah. I tell you what we do. We do if at the fall or the November deal.
Oh, yeah,
we'll do it
At
to
the
you.
convention.
Yeah, we'll do it
Yeah,
at the
there you
convention.
go.
We'll leave a pass on the fall district meeting if that's all right. So those are mine, Dr. Heath.
Yeah, the first thing is on October 18th, I believe it is, you'll get more information about this, but our State Board of Education representative for our region, Mr. Gordon Ferguson, will be here in Lincoln County visiting us for the day. It's actually his first visit to any school system in South Central Core Region. He will, in the morning, we'll have a superintendent's meeting here, and he'll be spending a couple of hours with us. But then at lunch, we're going to have a catered lunch, and he wants elected officials there, and so I'll be inviting you guys and our state elected officials. So it'll be an hour with him. And the state board, if you're not familiar with them, they do have a lot of impact on us, especially in licensure areas and in some other decisions and rules and regulations that they make. Basically, they take the laws that are passed by the legislators and they develop rules around those for us. And then the State Department is sort of the compliance piece of that. So anyway, he'll be here, and then after lunch that day, he will have a panel of students that he wants to meet with. So you guys will get an invitation to that, along with about 8 or 10 other students. And then a panel of teachers and a panel of administrators for about 45 minutes in each group at the high school. So it'll be a busy day for him, but we look forward to his visit. And again, you'll get more information about that over the next few weeks. But if you want to block it out, it'll be at lunchtime on the 18th of October. Next thing on my point of information is that TSBA Fall District Meeting, we're going to leave at 3:45, like was said earlier, and we will not be wearing our shirts that night. So it's in Spring Hill, and it's at one of their new schools. I did have the opportunity to visit their new elementary school that's real close to this new middle school that we'll be at. And it's a state of the art. It's a beautiful place, and I'm sure the middle school will be the same. Number 3 is TSBA Leadership Conference and Convention. Of course, that's in November. And travel folders for those who are planning to attend will be provided. If you have any changes, you need to let Karen know as soon as possible. Either it may already be too late for some of the changes, but I know TSBA is, once you pay them, they don't like to give that money back. So we need to know, so we get, make sure we get the checks cut and everything to TSBA. So and that's my birthday weekend too, by the way, just so y'all know that as we plan.
I'm sure Miss Karen will be glad to forget it since you didn't remember hers.
I know, gosh. Mr. Tommy, you could have done anything to bring that up tonight.
I couldn't help it.
Karen, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. I'm going to move on. Number 4, the School Nutrition Committee. Mr.
We met last Thursday as the Food Nutrition Committee. I think all the members were present except maybe one. Kind of met when we was discussing the guarantee and the payment back to the school system at the end of the year. There's still some unclarity, I guess, but in the contract on what we think they owe us and what they say they owe us. So we had a discussion there, and we talked about some other issues that's still ongoing with the food program, and come up with an idea that we're going to give it a couple more months, and we're going to meet again. And we asked Ms. Spring to go back and to have a conversation, and Mr. Heath is going to have a conversation with SFE about the guarantee, because there's just some issues there that we understand the contract written in a different way than they was presented to us, and we're still not clear on that guarantee 100%. So going back and negotiate with them a little bit more before we make a presentation to the board on the guarantee for y'all to present to y'all to what we accept from them. We're going to have a conversation about that, and the ongoing going forward, just the trust issues is if something's in the contract, we want to have some clarity as a board what's in the contract where it's easy for us to understand, and there's no going back and forth at the end of the year on what's what. There's some discussion about the food truck. That was something that was kind of promised to us at the beginning, and we took the option of putting off on it. But I think I read in the direct report that it'll be here in 2 weeks, and it maybe take a couple of weeks, I guess, to get the license and then the permit. So hopefully after fall break, maybe. Just so, yeah. shooting sometime here pretty soon, having the food truck available and getting it going. Ms. Spring was going to inquire about the food cart that was mentioned at the very beginning of the process that we was told we would be getting. So there's some ongoing conversations with the company going forward, just to make sure we're comfortable with them, they're comfortable with us, and we'll have a good working relationship with them. So we'll go back after the fall break, before the November meeting, we'll have another committee meeting to go over the details of how that meeting has gone with FFE to present to the board at the next November meeting, hopefully. There was also some discussion on the central office end on things we can do for the employees, about maybe offering some kind of stipend for the employees. Right now, there's already money in the budget, if I'm correct. They're getting a check somewhere around December, and it was covering the extra educational things they was doing through the year, going to conferences or something. And the money's still budgeted there, and we're trying to figure out a way to use it, or Ms. Spring had an idea of how to use it in a way that'd be more beneficial. Since they're not going to conferences now on their own, they're going through SFE, the training's there. Don't want to take that money away from them. So offering some kind of incentive program based off meals per labor hour, number of students served, going forward, and offering some stipends there's like a minimum, and then step it up several steps if they meet certain requirements that is yet to be determined. So that's going to be discussed probably at the next committee meeting. Ms. Spring will probably roll that out to us and her recommendations on that. And then there was a lot of ideas about different things for the schools and the teachers. I know Highland Rim and the high schools was kind of a point of discussion about the speed of being able to get the kids through the line, to get y'all's wait times down, to being able to get through the food line, have time to eat your food. And they're going to be going back to talking to the principals, maybe adjusting some schedules a little bit to help expedite those kids getting through, where there are not so many coming at the line at one time. There was some discussion about maybe offering some adult meals for the teachers, giving them a little bit more options periodically throughout the year. They can't do it all the time, but just something special for them that doesn't have to fall in those guidelines specifically as the kids do. Sorry, guys. And then just some different options for the kids coming up. There's maybe a coffee shop and different things to try to more things for the kids coming out. So had a real good discussion. I think we went about an hour and a half, something like that. 2 hours.
Pretty close.
Kevin's counting down. I think it was a healthy discussion, good discussion, and we got a lot of things out and talked about, and I feel good with it going forward, that we'll be able to come back to the next meeting and have a good idea of where we stand with the company to come back to the board, and then just make a decision where we go from there.
And just to follow up on that, Mr. Collins talked about the like a little coffee shop, maybe with cinnamon rolls, and we actually had a little taste testing last Friday, and I'd like to ask one of the supervisors to comment on the compliant cinnamon rolls that we had. Jane said they were delicious. Renee, what do you say? The cinnamon rolls on Friday, were they?
They were fabulous, and I'm a home ec teacher, by the way.
Okay.
I've just learned to taste.
So you think the kids are going to like those?
I think they're awesome.
Okay.
Did any of you board members get any about that taste?
No.
There was no invite.
Guess there wasn't none left.
Well, now that we've pre-tested it for you, they're good, so we'll invite you guys to the next. We didn't want to disappoint you.
And there were 3 left. Some people ate more than their share. I only ate half of one because I'm going to die.
I think we just need to have them at the board meeting.
That's how good they were.
Can we have some cinnamon rolls at our next board meeting to try?
That's a great idea at the next board meeting, don't y'all
I
think?
think that's awesome. And sorry, we're planning something else.
I think we can make that happen with the next board meeting. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
But at the next committee meeting, if y'all are welcome to come and voice any concerns that you have, good things or bad things by SFE, we'll make sure this is a good working relationship with them, that they're taking care of our kids. It's a number one priority to make sure they're fed and have the nutrition value they need to get through the day, and it's a big role they play in the education of our students.
And that concludes the points of information that I had on the agenda.
September the 30th. We moved that.
Board meeting, the next one is September the 30th on a move date. And if those that can, go, I mean, we're going to the county commission meeting. They're supposed to take up the emergency meeting on our funding request at 6:30. So we got plenty of time up there to get there, time they actually meet for that request to go forward with our building plan as a whole. Does anybody else have anything? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Mr. Tucker?
Second.
Collins, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.